Hey Martin, welcome to the 2019 OEC golf event. Just want to give you an opportunity here to view your swing at regular speed. We'll let that play on through, and we'll put you back in your dress position and take a look at a few things for you. So while we got you back here in your dress position, let's first of all take a look at your setup. Now, your lower spine is straight and on a nice tilt. Your legs come down into a nicely unlocked position. Arms hang down nice and naturally in front of you, and club works out to the ball. So achieving some fairly decent posture there, also in association with some good balance. Next thing you want to observe has to do with our alignment. We can see that your feet are a little bit closed out to the left. Carry that out towards the fairway. Now theoretically your club face is supposed to run parallel to your feet, and parallel lines on camera would have an appearance of converging. And with that scenario, we can see that your lower body, based on that philosophy, you would be set up just on the inside of that tree line out towards the left rough. Now I do want to just take a look also at your knees, your hips, your arms, and your shoulders. So your knees are running in the same direction as your feet, so that's obviously natural. Your hips then start to square up a little bit more, and I think your hips are the only thing that are really parallel to the center of the fairway. See how we can see your right arm underneath your left arm? So if I were to lay an alignment tool on top of your forearms, your forearms are aiming in this direction, as are your shoulders. So we have a bit of a disconnect between your upper and lower halves. Your lower half is aiming way left, and your upper half is aiming way right. So that's actually a subconscious setup. Your mind or your brain is telling you that, hey, lower body's aim too far left. I need to hit the golf ball back to the right. So the upper body is automatically setting up to pull the golf shot back to that blue flag. Let's go ahead and put up a little split screen comparison here of you and Jordan Spieth. Now we'll flip them over to left-handed to mirror image you. We've got some color-coded lines up on the screen just to use as a visual reference as it pertains to swing plane. And we can see with Jordan Spieth, as he initiates his takeaway, he creates good shoulder rotation, bring the arms and hands back as well as the club. And we can see the club coming back on plane directly along the red line. From here, we're going to incorporate some wrist hinge into play, where we're going to transition the club head from below to above our hands. And then from this vantage point here, we're going to bring the golf club from red up to yellow or blue, or within the blue-yellow V zone. When we finally set the club at the top of the backswing, the right arm in the club can situate itself either on the yellow line, anywhere within that blue-yellow V zone, or right up onto blue, which we see with Jordan Spieth. We've also created full shoulder rotation, and we do this about a very stable left leg. As we go ahead and watch you initiate your takeaway here, you draw your hands back very nicely, rotating your shoulders. Club's coming back on a very nice plane at this point in time. Got to start to see some wrist hinge here through this point of the swing, which we do. That's great. And let's work this golf club up to the top and see where you finally set yourself. When you finally get yourself set at the top of the backswing, we can see you start to work a little too vertically, maybe starting to get a little too upright. Not so, I mean, you're just on that edge of being a little too steep there. I'd like to see a little bit more shallow. Get that right arm situated down a little bit closer to the yellow line. Nonetheless, you've turned your shoulders well, stable left side. Arm geometry is still pretty solid relative to your core with that nice triangular position, and the club is maintaining its position with respect to your arm. So it's a pretty decent set position here from you. Ideally, I like to see it just a hair more shallow. It'll allow you to come into the ball a little bit stronger. Okay, so I'm just a little concerned you may come a little over the top and a little too steep from this position, and if we shallow it out, it'll help sort of correct that just a bit. Now, with Jordan Spieth on the left side of the screen, we want to create our transition back into the ball. We simply want to drive our weight from our left foot to our right foot, create lateral motion with the knees and the hips to the target, unwind the core and fire the hands. And in doing so, we want to make sure we're bringing that golf club from that blue-yellow V zone back down on top of red, which is where the club originated. And that's exactly what we see here with Jordan Spieth. The golf club is returning back to on plane. At this point in time, the other thing we want to pay attention to is the relationship between the lead forearm and the golf club. And I refer to this as the check mark position. Simply means that the club head right now is remaining above and behind our hands coming into the hitting zone. which is going to allow us to create a lot of power in our golf swing, let alone also the ability to hit the ball straight due to the fact that the club, as already mentioned, returned back to plane. With your transition back into the ball, here's your over-the-top move. Actually, it's not so much an over-the-top move. You just drop your hands from that steep position, and then right here, actually, you start pushing your hands out in front. Okay? So as you're pushing your hands out in front, there's just no way that club is going to be able to return back to an on-plane position. So we can see the club head here. At this point in time, that club should have been getting a lot closer back to the red line at that point. If we go to the next frame, basically we're going to see this club just sort of fall down out in front, so it's traveling in as such, and at this point in time it's going to get outside of the ball. So if we just sort of connect the dots, this will give you a really good visual as to what the descending plane looked like with the club head coming into the ball. So we can see the club never returns back to the red line. It's coming in from over the top. It's coming in too steep, and therefore it's going to affect the swing path and attack the ball from outside to inside. Whereas with Jordan Spieth, his club simply comes into the ball directly from this red line, so directly from on plane. And like I said earlier, this is the main criteria in order to hit a ball straight in accordance to our alignment. Lastly, assuming the club face squares up via having a good grip. So 3 things we need to be consistent and hit straight balls. We have to aim well. Feet have to run parallel to our club face. The club has to come down on plane to hit the ball based on that alignment, and then the club face has to square up in order to still hit that ball at the target. Okay? At this point in time, we can take a look at the pass of the club. Very simply put, we can see Spieth's club inside of the ball. It expands out to make contact and then moves through on a nice natural subtle arc. Your club is stuck outside the ball, moving down and across. So see the path of the club? Very, very different swing path. So what happens here is if we square the club face up to this swing path, we can pull the ball to the right. Now, in your case, that's exactly what you want to do. That's your compensation, because we had already stipulated that your alignment was where? Yeah, your feet were aiming out to the left. Parallel lines have an appearance of converging. You were set up to hit the blue flag, but yet we're trying to get the ball to go to the yellow flag. So there's your compensation. You're swinging the golf club basically from outside to, sorry, let me get rid of that. You're swinging the golf club from outside to inside to try and pull the ball back to yellow. Okay? So the unfortunate thing here is that, you know, this requires a lot of timing on your part. If you happen to over-release the club relative to this red path, what's going to happen is you're going to end up imparting too much left to right spin on the ball, and you're going to hit some form of a pull hook or pull draw. If we leave the club face too open to this path, then what ends up happening is you won't start the ball as far to the right, but then we're going to have a lot of right to left spin, and we're going to hit some form of a pull slice or maybe even a block slice or block fade. If we time it properly, this is when, you know, we're going to be able to pull the ball back towards the yellow flag and hit what I refer to as a pull straight shot, or just a subtle pull draw or pull fade that's not going to hurt you. So that ball will be pulled towards the yellow flag, and it'll just sort of stay in that direction. Okay? As we come through the golf shot, you can see your left heel's off the ground, so let's just carry you through, see how your footwork does. So great footwork through to the finish. Looks fantastic. Overall, some good athletic qualities with respect to your swing. I mean, your hands work well. You draw your hands back. You fire them through. Your core's working well. You coil back. You uncoil through. You've got good footwork allowing you to get through to a good finish. Obviously, the setup with the alignment, little distorted. Feet are going left. Upper body's going right. At that point in time, your subconscious brain is telling you, hey, I've got to come over the top, attack the ball from outside to inside and swing across my body. Then your subconscious brain is saying, uh-oh, what do I do with the club face? If we over-release the club, like I said, it's going too far right. Under-release the club, it's slicing left. And if you time it perfectly, that's when you'll hit this nice soft butter cut, butter fade that will go online. Okay? Unfortunately, it takes a lot of timing on your part to be able to find the intended target. because again, three things we need. We got to aim well, bring the club down on plane, and square the face up. And unfortunately, we're missing all three criteria. You're aiming too far left with your lower body, too far right with your upper body. Downswing plane is over the top. At that point in time, you got to compensate with the club face. You can just see how the left or right tendencies are going to come into play because it's just too tough to do. Okay? Anyways, at any point in time you ever want to work on any of these aspects of your golf game, certainly feel free to touch base. I'm over at Glen Abbey in Oakville, obviously where the event was held. Contact information is here on the screen. Also, if you're involved with any golf tournaments at all or sit on the committee for any events and you guys are looking for a unique gift to provide to your guests, touch base. I'd be happy to discuss my swing analysis services with you. Anyways, hope you had a great day. Hope you've enjoyed your summer. Hope you get an opportunity to play a little bit more golf here in the fall, and we'll see you next year.